Hello, everyone. Oh, Michael, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I hope that you feel better soon. It's going around, that flu going around. So my eyebrow's trying to grow back, y'all. So that's why I don't have no makeup on it today. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm tired of drawing them on, honestly. Hey, Stephanie. Hi, Denise. All right, guys. So tonight I am going to talk about some of my notary stories. All right. So I chose five that I thought would be really interesting to talk to you guys about, and then you guys can let me know how you would have handled it. I know, girl. Yeah. I mean, it's growing back, right? But you all see what I did, right? I end up cutting this part off all the way up here. It's supposed to be down here. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it alone, and when it grows back in. You know what I really want to do? I want to get what are they called? Is it called micro blading? I think that's what I want to do. Thank you, Stephanie. I think that's what I want to do. I want to get some microblading, and they draw it in, and it be permanent for like what 6 months, something like that. I want to do something like that. That'd be better. Then that way I don't have to fudge up my stuff. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let me introduce myself to those of you who yes, microblading or micro shading, Stephanie. Yeah, I need to look into that. For those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Bergeau. All right. I am the owner of Be Elise Notary Services, as well as I got a shirt finally made, the Notary Education Group. And it shows that I am the notary educator. My first shirt for that, and I got some business cards made for it. But I'm the owner of Be Elise Notary Services and the Notary Education Group. Every Sunday, I come live on YouTube around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time to talk to you guys about notary and business related topics, share some tips with you, and answer any questions that you may have in real time. All right. Now, I wanted to say first, for those of you who have purchased my signing agent certification course, I recorded myself doing a mock signing. Stephanie and Jay helped me with that today, so thank you, ladies. And I uploaded it. It took a while for me to upload it, Stephanie. It was like a really big file. It would not do it. I ended up having to add it to YouTube and put on there that I didn't want it to be public. I wanted it to be where only the person with the link can view it, and then I was able to embed it in the course. So if you guys purchased that course, you were able to log back in and view that mock signing. All right, you guys requested it, and I wanted to make sure that I delivered. Okay, and I have all three of my journals here. I used one of them, but I wanted to show you guys the other ones because, of course, I always order my journals whenever I make them. So this one here is for a general notary. I have the screenshots of these journals on my website so that you guys can see the inside of them because Amazon doesn't allow you to. I don't know why. I have this one. All three of them are three different formats. And this is why it's different ones. So they're like, well, why is it three? They're all different formats for people who prefer a certain format over the other. Okay. You have two for signing agent and one for general notary that can also be used for signing agent. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, so that's it for those. I also closed my Etsy t-shirt shop and I opened up my own personal shop that you can find also on the Notary Education Group / shop page. Okay. Hi, Naturally Alley. All right, so y'all want to hear some stories? All right, so my first story of the night, I used to record these on YouTube and I stopped. And this was maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, it's like I start stuff and then it's like I just feel like it's not really serving me a purpose and I just be like, whatever, and stop doing it. So my first one is about a older man. I went to his home. Okay, a signing service hired me, and they also provided a witness, so I didn't have to, which was cool. So I pull up to the place, and it doesn't look like it's a house there at all. It's just trees. It's branches of trees hanging down really low, and so I couldn't see anything behind there. And so I look at my GPS, and I'm looking like, okay, this is where they wanted me to come. What is this on my shirt? I'm like, but I don't know. So I called the witness who's supposed to be meeting me there, and they're like, yeah, I'm here in I'm behind you. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, and they're like, there's a house behind there. And I'm like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, it is. So me and the girl, we get out our cars and we pull up, I mean, not pull up, we start walking towards the trees. And sure enough, behind all of these trees is a house. And the house looks bad. The house looks really bad. The yard looks really bad. It doesn't look like somebody will be living there, but there is a person in this house. So we are getting through the trees. There's spider webs hanging down. I mean, like I was like, this is not real. Like somebody is punking me. I'm ready for somebody to run out and say, yeah, you've been punked. No, we walking and there is a pile of animal food, okay, sitting in the front yard. It's a pile, like a mountain of size of it. And the girl who was with me, she said, I think that's for cats. I think they're feeding the cats in the neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we start walking a little closer and we get to this screened in porch that's in the front of the house. And there is like the dirt looks like it's saturated with something, but it's not completely wet. It's dry, but like something's been poured over there. So as we get closer, we smell urine. And I'm like, I'm already thinking to myself, like, this is not a good situation. We get to the stair, and there are two dogs laying on this bed. It's a bed, and the mattress is so bad that the fabric is coming off of it. It's very dirty, and there's two dogs sleeping on it. And so they get up because they see them coming, and they start barking. And so there's a man laying on the bed too, because I have to get closer. And there's a man laying on the bed. So he gets up and he can't really see that well, but he's like, yeah. And I'm like, hi, I'm Bergeau the notary. I'm coming to sign some documents with you. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah. Don't worry about the dogs. They're okay. I'll have them go in the house. So he had them go inside the house. So I'm thinking we're gonna come up to the stairs and we're gonna go inside the house. No, we have to stay on the porch. Now, when he opens the door to the screened in porch, there are buckets of cloudy water sitting at the door. Okay. And it's more than one bucket of that. And it smells like a bathroom. So I'm thinking this is urine in the bucket that's cloudy. Like, and I'm like, okay. And the dogs, they look very filthy. The man looks filthy. Um, the chair, he had a computer chair, he had a computer desk. The computer desk was glass and it was covered in dust or dirt or both. Okay. He had a computer there. Okay. And more buckets. Okay. And so me and the girl are looking like, what the hell is going on here? And so the man offers us to sit on the bed or the chair. And we both are like, no, we're fine. We'll stand. Because we're looking like, sir, I know you don't think that we about to sit on this nasty bed or this nasty chair that you have here. And so he gets his glasses, and the glasses are filthy. It looks like there's dirt and dust on the glasses. I don't know how you can see out of them. His hands, everything is just really dirty. And so my witness, I told her, what I'll do is I'll have you sign where you got to sign, and then I'll have you leave. And she was like, thank you. So I had her sign as a witness. I forgot to have her sign my journal. That's how frazzled we were with the situation. Like, she signed the documents after he signed the ones that needed to be witnessed, and she dipped. She was out. She was like, good luck, girl. I'm looking like, Lord have mercy. Like, why do I always get lucky and get these type of situations? So there isn't any bugs involved. Okay. I'm sure there may have been some on the inside, but I never went inside the house. I stayed on the porch, and he had another bucket that he flipped over, so it wasn't anything in that bucket, and we he put something on top of it, and we used that to write on. I really didn't want to put anything on there. I had my clipboard, and I just kind of, only put the clipboard down if I needed to stamp, so that I could have a flat surface. But other than that, I tried to hold on to it. And so we signed the documents. It was sale of property, so luckily it wasn't a whole lot of documents, but I was there for enough time to where I was like very disgusted. The smell was getting to me. And so the man, after the other girl left, he disclosed to me that he had been without running water for, I think, 2 years. So he had no running water in this house. He said what happened was that there was a leak, and FPL he had them turn the water off because they couldn't find the leak, and they never turned it back on, or he never got it turned back on. And so he had no water. He was going to be moving to another state. He was selling the house because he couldn't do anything with the house. He didn't have the resources to get it back up to what it needed to be for it to be livable anymore. And then he was asking me about the stray cats. Do I think it's a good idea for him to bring the stray cats? I'm like, probably not. They are outside. They probably don't want to be inside or whatever, but your dogs, of course. And so he was saying that he was going to go and buy a home in another state, and he was going to turn the living room into his bedroom and turn the bedrooms into storage. So this was a normal live the way that he lived. Like, it wasn't just the fact that he had no running water for 2 years. It was the fact that he just really didn't have any idea of how he should be living, pretty much, I guess. So, he's just talking to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to make sure that everything is signed because, baby, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back here. I will tell them to send somebody else. I end up having to, luckily, the witness, she lived around the area, so I end up having to go to her place, have her sign my journal, and then I went home. And then I think the next day I mailed the documents off. So that's story one. What would you guys have done differently? And I don't want to hear you would have left. I get it. It was not the ideal situation, but the man needed to sell the home so he can get whatever money he could and leave, and hopefully, he will be somewhere that has some running water. I really felt bad for the guy because I've never seen anything like that before. And when I tell you guys, yeah, that cloudy water in those buckets, it had to be urine because the it smelled completely like a bathroom in there. Poop, just it was totally disgusting. Totally. So you guys let me know how you would have handled that. And what do you think about it? That's my first um story. Nasty, I know, but you just never know, outside of his living situation, he was a very sweet man. Very sweet. Good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, I was uncomfortable, but when you think about your role in certain situations for these people, you really are helping them. This man needed this. He needed to get out this house. The people who are buying the house were people who are buying the properties up and they're flipping them. They're fixing them up and flipping them. So I wish I remembered the address because I would love to see how the house looks now since somebody had purchased it from them and um, fixed it up. And I really hope that the money that he got from his sale, I really hope that he got himself into a better situation. Absolutely. Um, Key takeaways. You know, you have to be patient. You have to be empathetic. You are going to run into these type of scenarios where to you, you're going to be looking like, how did this happen? But it really could happen to any of us. I probably wouldn't have been, you know, keeping the buckets of waste, but you just never know. Never know, what anybody is going through. So, um, the easiest thing to do is be kind. Absolutely. The next story I have, I talked about already last week, but I wanted to bring it up again in, more detail. So I arrived at the home. Now, most times when I arrive at homes, guys, for these mobile signings, you can tell from the outside that it's probably not going to be a good inside situation. Okay. Um, when I pulled up to the home, I was just like, here we go again. It's like I kind of feel like I'm always the one to end up in those type of situations. And I don't know if it's me that ends up in those situations because of the person that I am, or if it's just the luck of the draw. I don't know. But so I pull up to the house. The house does not look like it's in a great condition at all. There's a screened-in porch for this home too, and it's full of storage. Okay, which a lot of homes in Florida end up having that type of situation anyway, because you guys don't have basements. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and we have basements, so we usually store things in our basements. We don't store things in our porches and garages. Like, I mean, we do store some things in garages, but the garages that y'all see, that I see here, where y'all have them full to the point where you can't get cars in them, we don't have a whole lot of that going on. We try to use ours for car storage because we have snow, so yep, Jay, we are. Hold on, let me share your comment. All right, so I get to the home and she's not there yet. So I call her, and as soon as I call her, she's pulling up. So I'm like, okay. So nice lady, she gets out the car, decent looking woman. She doesn't look like my last guy in the last situation I explained to you. She looks very well kept up. And so she goes to the door, she opens the door, and as soon as she opens the door, roaches everywhere. Some smashed on the wall, some crawling, all sizes, just everywhere. And it didn't help because she had a white kitchen, so I could see everything. Oh, let me see. Naturally, Ali is talking. Working in the field of social work as well, this is a normal part of the everyday work. Like what has already been said, don't judge the situation. Simply help meet people where they are. Absolutely. You are so right. Absolutely. So, roaches everywhere, um, all sizes, and whatever you can imagine. That's what it was. Um, I paused, of course, because I'm like, I am not. It is not easy for me to be around bugs because I don't like the creepy crawlies, and roaches really, it brings back the memories of when I used to visit my family down south, and my great grandparents, they had that type of issue in their house, and I would go in there with my grandmother, and I would immediately be like, "Please let me leave. I can't," And so they always laugh about it, but it's something that it's really difficult for me. So I paused, and I thought to myself, what should I do? Should I say something? Like it's very obvious that she knows the situation, and I'm like, okay, do I want to take my bag back to the car? Because I'm trying to think of how can I do this and not leave with any of them. I don't want to leave with any of them. and I don't want them on me. And so I wish my mother told me. She said you should have asked her if you guys could sign outside. I'm like, I don't know why I can't think quick to do that. And so I was like, I'm just gonna have to go in. And when I come back out, I'm just gonna have to really just do a good job of making sure that I shake and, wipe things off or whatever. So I went in. Um, the bag that I have, it has a bunch of different compartments. So I made sure anything that didn't need to be open wasn't open. I made sure I zipped everything closed. I only took out what I needed and I zipped everything back closed, right? Here's Stephanie. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Silence. I don't know why it didn't come to my mind at first. I just was like, well, I'm just gonna have to go in there. I wish I would have thought of that. So I go in and we're walking through the kitchen, and then, I'm passing through and they're everywhere. They're moving around. They're not still. They're moving around, baby. I walk past her sink. They're all over the sink, the dishes, the windows. Like they're everywhere, pretty much. We get into the dining area, and there's roaches all over the wall, the table, the chairs that I have to sit in. And so I'm trying to see which chair doesn't have bugs on them. If maybe I could maybe like shake the chair, maybe make them fall off so I can sit down because I need to sit down. And so I'm sitting finally, and then I get my things, put them on the table. I give her copy, and then I say, we're going to sign this copy. And so I'm trying to make sure that the table where I'm putting the papers doesn't have the roaches on them because I didn't want to like make a mistake and smash one and then it'd be stuck to the paper. So I got the paper, stack of papers there, and we're going through them. I'm having her sign things. One thing I try to do, and whether I'm in a house that is uncomfortable or not, I try to leave the bank information for last because most times they got to find it. I try to prepare people and tell them to have it ready before I get there, but sometimes they forget, and then I have to wait for them to find it. So I tell her we're going to leave this for last and we'll come back to it. And she says, okay. So we're going through the documents. Luckily, she doesn't want to read anything. She just wants to sign. So I'm grateful for that. We're going through, we're signing, going through, going through. And then when we're done, I give her that bank document so she can fill it out. And while I'm going through the documents to make sure we didn't forget anything, um, a roach crawled past me and it went over to her and it just sat there. And I got my eye on it because I'm like, don't come back over this way, just stay over there. And it's sitting right there in front of her. And she's going through her purse, and I think she put out a checkbook or something like that and was filling out the bank information. And so I'm going through the documents. I have a few crumbs on them. I'm trying to make sure I wipe it off. Just trying to, like I said, she knew. She knew the situation, and I don't think anything that I would have done that to make me look uncomfortable would have made her look uncomfortable. It just wasn't. She thanked me for coming because she said her grandbabies were going to be coming over in a couple hours. And I'm looking like, oh my God. So not only is she living like this, but her grandbabies come over here and they have to be with this, like in this environment. And, so it breaks your heart to think like people actually live like this on a normal basis. Like this is normal for them. And I'm like, wow. So I finished the documents. We got everything done. I was not about to scan anything there because I didn't want to open up and take anything else out, especially not a scanner and a laptop. Scanners and laptops, they have those little spaces where things can go in there and they can stay. So I was not about to do that. I was able to do everything, make sure nothing was in between the papers, put it back in my bag. And so we're leaving. And she escorts me out the house, and then she stands out there and talks to me, and I'm thinking like, will this be a good time for me to get myself together, or should I wait for her to go in? And she was a chatty patty just like me, And so I just talked to her and I just start shaking the clothes. I'm like, I don't know, I can't not do it. I'm not gonna get in my car and act like no, I'm not. I can't do that. So I'm shaking my clothes, I'm wiping everything off, and she's still just talking to me, watching me, and I'm like, shaking. I shook my bag up and down, hitting it on the ground a little bit to make sure nothing was attached to the bag. And I shook a little bit, I'm just doing like this, and especially my hair, because anything gets stuck in here too. I'm shaking everything, and so she thanked me for coming, and I got my car, and I did a quick talk to God, and then I left. So that's story number two. So, what do you guys feel is about that? Stephanie said that breaks my heart. That is so sad. It is. It absolutely is. And that's not the first time that I've been in a home like that. And I don't know why it just doesn't tell me to. I don't know why the first thing come to my mind is not to ask to sign outside because I so could have signed outside. And I'm sure she wouldn't have had an issue with it. Naturally, Allie says, take precautions to protect yourself no matter what. Sanitize your hands always when you get back in the car. Remove clothes when you get home and disinfect when you get home too. Yes, that's what I did when I got home. Well, I have a big bottle of hand sanitizer in my car, and every time I get into my car, I'm squirting my hands. It's dripping wet. I'm doing this and everything, and luckily, um, I was able to go home after. I didn't have any appointments after her. So when I went home, I undressed in the garage. I threw my things in the washer, and I walked panty bra to my bathroom, and I got in the shower because I would not have been able to go on with my day. When you see that type of thing everywhere, it's it just makes your flesh crawl, and it's like you start itching and scratching, and there's nothing going on, but just the thought of all of them being around, and she had a dog there too. She had a dog, and I'm like, just everybody is exposed to this, and it's terrible. Stephanie said as soon as you get home, strip everything and put it in a bag right away. Yeah. And my notary bag, I took everything out of it. I took everything out of my notary bag because, like I said, they're little bugs. They can get stuck all up in, and I went through that bag. I flipped that bag over. I sprayed it with some ant and roach spray because we got ants real bad in my house. By the window sills, there are always dead ants in the window sills, and so we have ant spray. And so I'm spraying my bag and I'm turning it over and I'm flipping it, and it was a whole process because y'all know how much stuff I got in my bag. But it was very important to me that I don't bring anything from anybody's house back to my house. Okay. All right. My next story. So again, pull up to the home, and the home does not look like I'm in the right place. I'm like, this can't be the place. I hope it's not the place. I call the people, and they're like, yep, we got a railroad sign in the front yard. Come on in. I'm like, oh, like I'm in the right place. So I'm like, okay. So I'm mentally prepare myself. Natural Alley. Is that what you do? Do you prepare yourself when you know you're about to go into a situation that may be uncomfortable? It's like you just gotta mentally, you gotta sit in the car and you gotta get ready for it. You're like, okay. Because it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna walk into, but from the outside, it looks like I'm not gonna walk into anything that's going to be nice. So I get out the car, get my things together, and then I go to the door. Now they have a cute little pitty mixed with a chihuahua. Cute little dog. And so because of the rap that pit bulls have, they try to put the dog away. And I told him, I'm an animal person. So when people have their animals out, it doesn't bother me at all. Stephanie says, I say a prayer and take a deep breath. Yeah, that's exactly what you have to do. I go into the home. and immediately it's not in the best condition. There's more than one person living in the home, and one of the people has come in contact with some type of bug that has them not feeling well. And so that's another thing that bothers me is when people are sick, like, why can't you let me know that you're sick? Because I can always prepare myself. I can come in with a mask, but if I'm already in your house and you tell me that you're sick, I've already been exposed to the germs. So I'm screwed. Whereas if I would have put the mask on outside, I would have been good. So what I've been doing now is I've been asking people before I come, has anybody been sick within the past week? I need to know because I need to bring extra stuff with me so that I can protect myself, right? Because I don't want to bring anything home to my family. So walk in the door. The home is not kept. It's kind of like a clutter situation. The living room was cluttered. The carpet looks like it hasn't been vacuumed ever. Um, it smells like animal in there. It's hot. Um, and then somebody's sick. So I go in the home and they tell me that, the only space that they have is for me to sit on the couch and I have to pass the documents over. It's 200 pages, 200 plus. And so I had to sit on the couch and I had to pass over everything and I had a clipboard. And I was there for over an hour. And I wait, hold on, let's see. Natural alley. Yes, I am a little seasoned conditioned girl. Being in the field of social work, it is what it is. I understand there are many reasons for their environment, mental, financial, upbringing, etc. All of that is absolutely right. Because for some people, if that's how they used to live, they think that this is normal, you know? So yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting on their couch. The couch was not clean either. The couch smelled. So I already knew my clothes were going to smell when I left. And the person who was sick lit up a cigarette. So now I'm sitting there in this hot house that smells like animal and dirty people. And now cigarette. And so I'm like, wow, I'm just gonna smell like a whole lot of nastiness when I leave out of here. And I had a customer after that too. I had two. One appointment was online. So because it took so long for us to get through the documents, we got about halfway through, and I told them, if could they please excuse me while I go outside? I had an online signing to do, and I did it from my car. Luckily, when I have online signings and I know that I'm going to have other signings in the day that are not online, I will prepare those. I'll upload the documents and tag them and have it already ready so that if I'm out and I have to stop and do the signing in my car from my computer, I can do that. So I ended up having to leave out, go into my car, do the online signing. It took me about 20 minutes to do that. And then I came back in and then we finished signing their documents. Um, at this time, now the dog is, out because I told him I'm not scared of the dog. The dog is fine. And so the dog is out. And the dog is so funny. So we're signing the documents and the dog keeps coming and putting her head on my lap. And so they're like, give her some treats so that she don't keep bothering her so she can sign the documents with us so we can get done. And then the guy who's smoking the cigarette, he's like, yeah, can y'all hurry up because I don't feel well. I need to go lay down. And so he did leave. So he kept leaving and we kept having to tell him to come back. And we're like, we're not done. We still need you to sign these documents. And he's like, okay, just give me a minute. So it was I think I may have been there maybe 2 hours. And at this time, I still hadn't got the documents for my next in person signing, which I was grateful for. They ended up emailing me and telling me that the signing was going to be canceled because the lender does not have the documents ready. And I was grateful because I kept thinking, I'm going to have to explain to my next customer why I'm smelling like, you know, nasty because I was smelling nasty. It was the smoke smell was in my hair and the smell of the home was on my clothes. And, I have Lysol in the car, but it's like, would that have worked? I mean, I don't know. I hate when I go to those type of situations and I have to go to somebody else's home because, people are not going to say nothing, but they'll be looking at you like you nasty. And it's like, no, it was where I was at before, right? So, we finally got through the documents. They were very grateful, and I was very grateful to get it done. Went back through the documents, everything was good to go. um, Said my farewells, got into the car, rolled the windows down, and drove for a little bit just to clear my sinuses from, being in a home. And then it was hot in there. I am so grateful for the polos that I buy from Queensboro. It's like some type of sports fabric. So when I sweat, you can't tell that my shirt is all wet. So I was thankful for that, and it's very airy. So I just rolled the window down. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jay. For those type of days, carry an extra outfit in the car. That's a good idea for those type of sightings for sure. So, um, yeah, I just had to ride with the window down. And when I got my car the next day, it still smelled. So I had to wipe my seats down and everything, and I had to vacuum. And you just don't realize how some of those smells get embedded. Like I was only there for a couple of hours, and that smell was embedded in my car. I went to sleep and woke up the next day, got went to get in my car, and it smelled just like that home and cigarettes. So, and I also have a refresher spray here for my sister locks. So I had to have my daughter spray my hair down. Like it was a whole process. It really is a whole process, guys. Like when luckily natural Allie D, she is preconditioned to this. But for those of you who are not used to being in these type of situations, this happens. All right. It is a normal occurrence, and I don't want it to steer you away from wanting to do mobile notary, but because don't forget, mobile is mobile. Whether I'm doing real estate or general, mobile is mobile. And you're going to meet people at their homes, restaurants, outside the parking lot, in a parking garage, at their place of work. It's going to happen. I've done it in a parking garage plenty of times with my trunk being my tabletop, so these are situations you have to be prepared for. Okay. I got two more stories for you. Um, these are not nasty. They're sad though. All right. So I don't want nobody crying while you listen to these stories. Okay. All right. So my next story involves a couple. All right. So they're an older couple, and they were downsizing from a house to a condo. And the woman is the one who put down the money for the home. And so she's selling the home. And so she's trying to figure out why on the settlement statement it shows, I don't know if it was settlement statement or I forgot what document it was. It showed that how much she was getting back, right? And it was somewhere in the documents where it showed that she had to split that money with her husband. And she was furious. She was furious. She was cursing. She said, call my kid. The real estate agent was there with me because the real estate agent said already that it was a very sensitive transaction and that she would be there to help talk to the lady and to keep her calm. And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Denise says, Tide, Tide has a spray for your clothes also. Was it like a refresh spray? Yeah, because I'm gonna need that to keep that in my car as well. I try to have all type of stuff in my car, guys. One day we have to do a video of the things I have in my car for my mobile signing um, appointments. So she's like, no, no. She's like, I'm not. She was like, he did not put any money down on the home. All of the money is for me. So she gets on the phone with her kids. And her kids like, mommy, yes, daddy gets so and so. And she's like, this is BS. And I mean, she is furious. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm like, if you don't want to sign the documents, you don't have to sign the documents. I'm not going to notarize anything that you don't agree to. And she was like, no, I'm going to sign them, but he not getting nothing. And nothing is not the word she used. Y'all can imagine what the word she was using when she was talking about this. And she was mad. She was so mad. She signed the documents and she just broke out into tears. She was crying, she was cursing, she was upset. She was like, it's not fair. Her kids are trying to talk to her like, mommy, we understand, but this is how it's got to be. You guys are married. And I'm like, I don't I don't know what to say. It's like, what do you say in that type of situation? Nothing is going to make the person feel better. The situation is what it was. The sale happened and the money was going to be dispersed to both people. I don't know if the husband didn't live with her anymore or what. I don't know what the situation is. So this is another thing. Okay, Denise, I'm gonna have to look for that. That's another thing. When you get into these, when you go to these appointments, it's really not a concern for you what is going on. The only thing that we need to know is that you are willingly signing these documents and you're not being forced to do it. Sometimes it can feel like they're being forced though, but in her situation, either she was going to sell the property or not. That's what it was. It didn't matter who else she sold the property through, he was going to get that money. She did not want him to get that money. But that doesn't have anything to do with me notarizing the documents, right? So she willingly signed the documents. She was still mad, but this is how it had to be per whatever whoever told her. And it's not really anything that I can say to make it better. I can't give any legal advisement or anything like that. You know, all I could do was listen, give her my shoulder if she wanted, and make sure I still had to make sure the documents were. I mean, can you imagine how uncomfortable it is? This person is screaming and crying and cursing, and I'm just sitting there flipping through the documents to make sure everything is signed and notarized. It really feels insensitive when you think about it. But I still had to do my job. She was done signing. I had everything I needed from her. I had to make sure everything was good before I left. Oh, okay, Denise. Can you look it up and share it to me? Like share it in this chat here. So what do you guys think about that one? What are your feelings about that signing? And her house was clean. She had a clean house, but she was just very upset about having to split those proceeds with the person who did not help her to get that home. I mean, wouldn't you be? I would be too. But they were married, and yeah, and this is what it had to be, unfortunately. I absolutely can empathize with that situation for sure. Exactly. Stephanie said, I will understand why she felt the way she did. I would be upset too. Yeah. Because I'm thinking in my mind, maybe they weren't together anymore, but they were still married. And this is why it's so important for people to know. Just because you and a person separated don't mean nothing. If you trying to get some money, y'all have to be done on paper legally. You can't just be done in your mind. So, yeah. And then I have one last story to share with you guys. Yeah, okay. Jay shared the with me. Antibacterial fabric spray. Yes. Okay. I'm ordering that today. Thank you, Jay. I'm ordering that today. For those of you who don't know it, Jay just shared it to me. It's right here. We need to put that in my car immediately. All right, guys. Last story, and this one is messed up. This last story is very messed up. So I got called to do a signing for a man who he was going through a divorce. He actually, as a part of the divorce, he had to sell the home and he had to split the money with his ex-wife. Okay. Now the ex-wife, she ended up leaving him for her boyfriend and moving to another state and purchasing a home with that boyfriend. So she left with her ex-husband, their child together in the house. And so at first, I get there, I brought a witness with me, and I'm gathering his documents that I needed for ID. And then I got my journal out. I'm doing my journal and everything. I got the documents out. I give him his copy, and we are going through the documents. And about a quarter of the way through, he bursts out into the ugliest cry that you could ever imagine a person to do. And I don't know why, for me, nothing breaks my heart more than seeing a man break down in tears, because you just don't see that a lot. You don't see men just break out into tears like that. Women all the time, but men, no. So to see him break out into tears like that, and he's snotting, crying, and everything, and he's just like, it's not fair. I don't understand why she would do this to me. We have a baby together. I loved her. I took care of her. I mean, he's just venting, and I'm just listening. And I had to end up moving the documents because the way that he was crying, he was saturating the documents. And God, I tell you, when I am in situations like this, trying to maintain a disinterest and being unbiased is extremely difficult, because I don't know the situation, but in my mind, seeing this man cry like this in call, and he's venting out loud, it just makes me think, what a horrible person she must be to do this to this man. But then again, you never know the situation. But it was heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking. And I was there for a minute. I could not, continue on having him sign the documents in the condition that he was in. He was distraught. He knew he had to sign the documents, but he didn't want to. But he was ordered by a judge to sell this property and give this woman half of the proceeds. So this is another situation where, I'm notarizing documents for a person who was signing willingly, but really against everything they believe. It's like, how do you justify it? You know? Yes, it was difficult. It was difficult for me to, because a man crying makes me want to cry. So it was difficult for me not to cry. And my witness, she just had to get up and hug him. She had to get up and hug him. She was just like, I'm so sorry. I am so, so sorry this happened to you. And, eventually he calmed down and he was like, I'm ready to finish signing the documents. But, he finished talking, and venting about it, and just saying, he said, I don't have anywhere to go. He was like, half of the money that I'm getting for this house is not enough for me to get another home for me and my kids, and I guess he had more than one. When we were there, the kids never came out. The kids were in the room. I could hear, but I couldn't, I didn't see any kids. And he was saying like he was going to try to sell all the furniture in the house to try to get more money to move, but you know how difficult that is, trying to sell used furniture out of your home. And it was difficult. It was a nice home, They had nice furniture on the inside, so I would hope that he was able to recoup some extra money to move him and his children to a comfortable place. But he said that he had been in that house for years, and this is all his kids knew. And the ex-wife, she moved on, bought a home with her new boyfriend, and they were, living, you know. So yeah. So what do you guys think about that? Like how can you handle that type of situation? It's like it's really difficult. You can be as empathetic as you want. There's not really anything that you can really say to make them feel better. You just kind of just, okay, yeah, I got it, Denise. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that because I didn't even know anything about that. All right, guys. Well, that was all the stories that I could think of off the top of my head within the past 2 years that I have dealt with. Obviously, I don't come across a whole lot of sad situations, which is grateful. Um, Most of the signings I do are for, you know, great milestones in people's lives. I did have one recently where the family, they sold the house and they had been in the house for 30 something years, but they were ready to get rid of it and start a new life somewhere else. And it was a tearjerker because they're like, we raised our kids in this home and that's all they knew. And their neighbors had been there for years too, and now they were going to be leaving. And it was bittersweet. Like they were sad, but they were happy that they were going to be moving on. Stephanie said, I would definitely empathize with him and maybe give a hug if allowed. Yes, there was a lot of hugging. Jay said, hopefully they have a better situation. I probably couldn't have handled that one. Yeah, that's really all I can say. When you have those type of situations, it makes it difficult to remain unbiased for sure. Natural Alley said that's where those soft skills with working with the public kicks in. It's an on-the-job training. You can't really prepare for all the situations, but you can try. Yeah, absolutely. And I like to share these situations with people because I need for people to know. A lot of people say they don't want to do general notary work because of those type of situations, but all of those were real estate signings. Every last one of them was a real estate signing. So this is actually what you need to prepare yourself for. Okay, like Natural Alley said, sometimes you are going to go to some homes and you don't know the person's situation, and their home is going to be a reflection of what they're going through. And sometimes it's going to be really, really bad. Bad as the man who was using the bathroom in buckets for 2 years without running water in his home. Can you imagine living in a home and you have no running water for 2 years? Okay. When they shut off the water because something's going on in the neighborhood for a couple of hours, I'm freaking out. 2 years without running water. I didn't see no. Oh, I did see a truck. I think he did have a truck. So I was gonna say I didn't see no car, but no, he did have a pickup truck. It was an older pickup truck. But I couldn't imagine. Absolutely could not imagine. Okay. So yeah, when I left there, it was a very sombering feeling that I had. It wasn't like, oh my God, it wasn't no laughing matter or nothing. It was just exactly, Stephanie. She said, I can't do 2 days, girl. I can't do no hours. Run without running water? Oh my God. And we run up some water over here. We be running up some water. Okay. I wash my hands so much. Like I couldn't imagine. In baths, we bathed all day, girl. Yeah. And it didn't look like him or his dogs had bathed recently. So very sombering feeling. that you get when you work with those people. But it was a good thing for him because he was happy to finally get it done. There were no tears shed. There was no anger. It was more of a relief for him that he could finally get out of that situation and get himself into a better situation. Stephanie said, these are real people with real situations. We have to have a servant leader her. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are public servants in our communities, and we have to make sure that we are very kind, very kind. Mark Wills, I think he has a shirt that he wears that, and I think it has "Be kind" on it, and that is exactly what you have to be as a notary. You have to be kind. Social work too. You have to be kind. You know, when you are working with people and you just don't know the situations and what they're going through, that is the least you can do is be kind. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Any notary related questions? Any business related questions? I did have my business meeting and nobody showed up. So I don't want to hear you guys asking, oh, I need help with my business. You don't need that much help if you're not showing up to my free meetups. All right. I had a free business meeting. We do it the last um, the last Saturday of every month. All you have to do is go on the notaryeducationgroup.com and register. It's going to be on the home page, and you got to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Now, even if you are not joining the business meeting, you do have access to the documents for you to fill out for yourself. Okay, if you don't want to have the business meeting in a group setting where you can talk and ask questions and maybe learn something new, then at least do it yourself. Make sure that you are keeping up with your business and the operations and the financials and all of the different offerings and so forth. Okay, we want to keep organized, make sure that we got our businesses together because you're not going to be able to keep a sustaining business if you don't have your stuff in order. That's just the truth of the matter. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I am going to go ahead and let y'all go. Thank you, as always, for joining me and talking with me and listening to some of my stories. I hope that some of those stories, you know, resonated with you, and not that you could relate, but in knowing that our job, we need to take it serious. We absolutely need to take it serious. Okay. You're welcome, Natural Alley. Good night, Stephanie. You're welcome, Denise. Good night, everyone. I will see you guys again next Sunday. And don't forget, always make sure you share, all right? Because sharing is caring. Share the material. Let other notaries see what we're talking about. So maybe if they have questions, they can ask them in the comments after. All right? Bye, everyone.